Hey everyone, this is Christian C, and in this module, I want to talk to you about dealing with panic attacks. A panic attack is an energy that attacks with the element of surprise. Panic attacks are different for everyone, different symptoms and different process, but realizing that you have this challenge upon you is the first step in overcoming it. A panic attack is a signal from your ego self that you are becoming too reliant on the energy from within that ego self. A panic attack is a rush of awareness that recoils and loops over and over itself rapidly to the point that we really amplify a much greater and stronger awareness of our ego self. You become overly conscious in the present moment in your current situation, and your inner energy is flooded, quite often emanating from your solar plexus. This prevents you from processing your energy and emotions in a way that you would consider normal for yourself. Although panic attacks occur to most people, their frequency and intensity can be relatively different to most people. An example of a panic attack can be such as when someone is facing an audience. The level of intensity can be something that affects you in many levels. What can we do to diminish such negative energy? When giving a presentation, let's say public speaking, allow your higher self to surface and take the lead. You will be a natural when you lead with your higher self. If you try to suppress your higher self, that's when you will run into trouble. You can also show emotion emanating from your character, but allow that emotion to come from your dual energy. Now, why is this important? If you present from your ego self, and if you have the tendency to be too self-aware of your ego self, that energy will just reloop to the point that you can't even act out your presentation and mistakes will happen. There is no need for that. Start by allowing your energy of duality to come from a place of sincerity and goodwill. And if you can, lead with your higher self. Make the presentation about your audience and the experience they're having. Step out of your ego awareness and allow your sincerity and good energy to project outwardly and not cave inwardly. Panic attacks and becoming nervous in social environments happen when you make these moments about yourself rather than your audience. Your ego self is trying its hardest to be accepted because it believes that if it is accepted by the audience, then whatever you say will create a successful presentation. This is like putting the cart before the horse. We should evade looking at those energy blocks by not building them up in the first place. When you begin to feel the building of energy blocks, simply shift to moving that energy around. Work on relaxing your muscles, breathing in deeply, and just finding a source of motivation. So forget about being accepted by your audience. Simply emanate and project your good energy outwardly. And remember that a presentation is not about you, it's about them. You're simply the orator of the story you're telling, and you're simply recalling a story. It's not even about whether they will like the story or not. It's about putting out good vibes that are already within you. And it does help to rehearse and practice and think about your story beforehand. One way to overcome panic attacks is to plan ahead and get skillful at executing the process. And when they happen, you should implement specific techniques to counter that flooding and amping of your inner energy and emotions. Your higher self is your eternal, wise, serene, loving self. That energy can be diminished if you do not have a strong energy connection. With a strong process, you'll have a strong universal connection. Your higher self delivers the healing light that nature and the universe can evoke. When you begin to work on your higher self and you begin to gain more traction on your process of duality, your panic attacks will begin to diminish. Through this process, your higher self needs to ascend, and you do not allow your ego self to take full control in any way. We should prevent our ego self from being overcome by emotions and negative energy. And if you have gone to that point that your ego self has indeed been overcome by emotions and negative energy, we will work through that and develop a way to get back to a healthy and well-balanced energy. So what kind of techniques can you use to diminish panic attacks? In other modules, I covered different techniques such as breathing and becoming more relaxed through meditation and other various techniques. But here I will go into how you can also tackle panic attacks by doing a simple audit of your energy and pinpointing in what areas you need to develop your growth and ascension towards. In other words, allowing your energy to flow around and above any pending panic attacks. When you find the true balance between your higher self and your ego self, you will realize that you're becoming more grounded, and any energy blocks such as panic attacks will begin to diminish. Their intensity levels are always fluctuating, and we have to truly believe within ourselves that we will bring that level of intensity way down. Let go of any negative emotions and inhibitions and stop relooping from a mental level. Understand that you really don't need to know the why panic attacks happen in order to find a solution. Yet, if knowing the why is something that you feel will really help you, then spend a little bit of time going over the why, but not to the point where you are reloading the same reasons and excuses over and over in your head. And take the time to ask yourself, what am I so anxious about? Am I anxious about not accepting the energy of others? Or am I anxious about feeling that I'm not good enough and not being accepted by others? Define in detail your trigger points and what makes that panic attack fluctuate upwards. Write it down so you can track it and calibrate exactly how the energy fluctuates. You will start to see patterns when you begin to track it on a daily and weekly basis. Realize that the only acceptance you truly need is from your higher self. With a little bit of work, such as jotting down your daily experiences in your journal, it can greatly diminish energy blocks such as panic attacks. And remember to allow your higher self to guide you, instead of allowing your ego self to be pulling and tugging at your emotional strings. One thing that has really helped me was in the belief that ultimately your ego self needs to stop wrestling with your higher self. Seek to develop a deeper connection with your higher self, and also seek to connect with people that truly want and deserve a connection with you. We have to remember that low vibrational efforts will bring low vibrational results. Higher self vibrational actions will yield higher vibrational results. If you ever dealt with a panic attack, then you know that the more conscious you become of it, the stronger it gets. You are giving it more awareness, making it stronger. And this is counterintuitive because the harder you push in trying to stop it, the bigger it grows and more it pushes back. We have to move beyond approaching panic attacks from just a mental level in believing that we can make them better, perhaps by not thinking about them. We have to take action, and not just from a thinking and mental level, meaning from an ego self perspective. Break away from being stuck in your head. The energy of being stuck in your head is so sneaky because it rushes through your solar plexus and through your body. And when you try to fight back from a mental ego self level, it completely throws you off balance. This negative energy is fighting fiercely to be in control. Panic attacks are a good example of how negative energy can be sneaky and try to deceive us in order to gain power and control. It has found a loophole in which the more attention and awareness you give it, it uses this as fuel to get stronger and stronger. In other words, it hacks into your own system. And all while you believe you're doing your best to try to stop and avoid these panic attacks. Instead of feeling defenseless or weak, we have to keep acknowledging that our inner energy does not always stay at the same level and it fluctuates. Whatever panic attack peaks at any moment, it will soon again diminish and go away. Focus on how it feels to have that panic attack go away and work your way back. And here's a question to keep in mind and just allow yourself to repeat it when you need to do so. And the question is, how will you feel once the panic attack is finally over? How will you feel once the panic attack is finally over? And a couple of following questions you should also ask are, how did your energy within finally pivot? How did your energy within finally pivot? And how did it make that search towards good healing energy? Once again, and how did it make that search towards good healing energy? And let's do one more question. What shifts within your ego and your higher self did you make to begin to change those tides? Again, what shifts within your ego and your higher self did you make to begin to change those tides? When we backwards engineer our negative energy, we will start to create a shift from a future energy perspective, working its way to our present moment. And we will acknowledge and develop the belief that ultimately our mind, body, and spirit will prevail and inner energy will go through a healing process and ascend. Are you committed to starting that healing process today? If you're committed, then various techniques and insights on this program will help you get there. What specific actions can you take right now? Begin by asking, am I leading with my higher self? Zoom out and see yourself within your journey, within your environment. Visualize healing yourself within your solar plexus. Continue to diminish any negative energy, any layers, and magnify that connection with your ego self and higher self. Sync these two sides, your energy of duality, so that it becomes one in a sense over any energy blocks that existed. You can execute this process in various forms. You can make it into a process by which you meditate these actions, and also you can make it into a more visual and action-oriented process that you practice without meditation. You can try both and see what works for you best, and perhaps doing both, meditating to connecting with your higher self and taking daily actions while you zoom out, and looking at your daily actions and journey can both be helpful. Writing down what works best for you will help you continue to evolve your actions and focusing on your energy pathways. And in turn, this will help you also relax a bit more because you are now processing your energy in a way that you're not fighting to come up with a plan that works. We create our space when we try out different actions and insights and move towards what is working while diminishing what does not work. Also remember that using energy of improvisation from an ego self-character perspective can be productive while continuing to ascend from your higher self. The dynamic energy process that we develop now tackles this issue from various levels. From zooming out and emanating from our higher self to also giving our ego self a role to play in healing, such as by allowing it to be at ease and use techniques such as improvising upon the moment. So it's not just about meditating and visualizing, but actually evoking the full spectrum of who we are into a unison of a creative process. This makes it so that if you feel more inclined towards a spiritual awakening, that's great. But if you also want to partake in practical physical actions from an ego self character level, you also have the tools and insights to do so. Motivation plays a big role in our habitual changes. You can tailor your own motivation to deliver the results you desire. A very helpful suggestion is to keep a journal and write out your experiences. This way, you can see more or less when panic attacks happen, where, at what time, perhaps even reasons. And overall, a journal will give you more depth and perspective into experiences so that you may elevate your energy. Also, it helps you not forget those experiences and what they meant to you. Write down your plans and goals and break them down in your calendar. If you have an indication of where you want your energy to move towards, you'll have more of a clear plan on what you must accomplish. To recap, zooming out is a good way to look at the overall picture before taking action. And here are some of the techniques that we can use for panic attacks. Within zooming out, we have visualization and meditation. And within zooming in, we have energy of improvisation and backwards engineering your energy. And this is a section that I know some people really want me to elaborate a lot more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write further articles and perhaps another module and address specific questions and techniques that others might find useful. So go through this module, see what you like, and see what questions you might have, and feel free to contact me, and I could further expand on any area that you feel would be beneficial for you.